Hello, friends. Welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story in which our OP prevented fraud by honestly doing his job. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Someone threatened to sue my company for not letting them commit fraud. I'm a claims adjuster for an auto insurance carrier. My job can be stressful, but for the most part, I like it, and I'm blessed to have a job in this economy. When you call and open up a claim, we consider you, the insured, the person who owns the policy, or the claimant, the person who was not the policyholder but may put a claim in for damages on their car if our customer is at fault. This claim I was handling had 3 cars involved, our insured and 2 claimants. The claim was opened by the mother of one of the claimants. Since she advised when opening the claim that she wanted us to pay for her son's car, she set up an inspection for the vehicle. Even if we don't know if we'll be liable, we inspect cars anyway, so that way we have an estimate to pay you based off if we accept liability. So I get the police report, and the woman's son was ticketed for failure to yield, careless driving, and driving with a suspended license. I'm looking at it in disbelief and wondering if there's an error. It stated her son had a stop sign but didn't make a full stop and pulled out in front of my driver who had no stop sign and was traveling with the right-of-way. We hit him because, well, that's what happens when you don't stop at stop signs, and he, the claimant, then hit another vehicle which was stopped at the stop sign across from where he'd just come from. I'm thinking to myself, is someone that naive that thinks we would accept liability when the officer wrote her son 2 tickets at the scene? I interviewed the son who admitted he stopped and saw our driver on the road but kept going because he thought he could make it across before he got to the intersection. I explained to him that he didn't yield and my driver had right-of-way. I also interviewed the other claimant who was stopped at the other stop sign, and he states that claimant who pulled out in front of my insured didn't even stop and just blew through the sign, and he himself honked to warn my insured because he saw my insured coming. I asked this guy, did it appear that my driver was coming at a high rate of speed? And he told me, no. In fact, your driver had tried to stop, and had the roads not been icy, he probably would not have hit the idiot who ran the stop sign. My driver tells me the same thing, that the other driver ran the stop sign and he hit his brakes to try and avoid, and heard the man still stopped at the stop sign hit his horn. Okay, so we're not liable for the accident. So I speak to the at-fault claimant's mother, who opened the claim to explain why we can't pay for her car. She's acting like this is not how insurance works. I even asked her, why did you open up this claim when the police report places your son as the at-fault driver? Well, first of all, I don't have collision coverage, so I can't file through my own carrier for my damages. Second of all, it shouldn't matter who has the stop sign. My son says your driver was speeding and he hit my son. My son has right-of-way because he was in front of your driver. No, your son didn't yield to my driver, who had the right-of-way, which caused my driver to hit your son's car. Had your son waited for my driver to proceed and cross when it was safe, he wouldn't have been hit. Her, whining, but I don't have the money to fix this car, and you guys told me it was a total loss. Me, you can still fix it if you want and keep it, but it'll be a salvage vehicle, so it'll be worth less. Her, but who's going to give me money to fix the car? Me, you'll have to pay to fix it yourself since you don't have collision coverage, or you can consider selling it for scrap. Well, later that day, I get a call from her ex-husband and father of the driver who doesn't know how to handle stop signs. Him, this is outrageous. You completely misled us and were fraudulent. Me, in what way had I misled you? Him, well, you inspected the car and made it seem like you were going to pay. Me, we inspected the car because your ex-wife wanted to file a claim. That's part of the process, so if we're deemed at fault, we can settle for damages. She requested the inspection, so we did as she requested. Him, well, you should have had no inspection if you knew you weren't going to pay. Me, when she put the claim in, she said she felt we were at fault, and we sent someone out there the next day to inspect the car, sir. I didn't get a chance to read the police report or speak to all the other drivers until the day after. Him, well, you should still pay us for the car. Me, why? Him, because you made it seem like you were going to pay. Me, I never once told your ex-wife that I was going to pay. In fact, before I got my statement from my driver, I called her to tell her that based on your son's statement and the police report, I was most likely going to deny any liability on my driver because both place your son at fault. Him. Well, your driver hit him. Me. He didn't yield at a stop sign and my driver had right of way. Your son even admitted that he saw us and didn't wait for us to cross and knew we didn't have a stop sign. Him. Well, now what are we going to do? The car's a wreck. Who's going to pay to replace it? Me. I told your ex-wife. She chose not to carry collision on the vehicle, so you'll have to pay out of pocket. He calls me the next day to once again complain. This time he's pissed because the auto damage adjuster had noted the car was a total loss and it was now showing up on Carfax as being in a severe accident. Nah, really? I explained to him that all insurance carriers have to report these things when we inspect cars and that it's a state regulation that it gets reported to the databases. He's pissed off now because how dare we declare the car a total loss when we didn't actually pay him for it? I was out of patience with this guy. Me. Sir, your car is a total loss and is worth less regardless of the fact that we didn't pay you, so the report is correct. Him. Well, now I can't sell it for as much. Me. Well, if anyone looked at the car, they could see it's badly damaged. You can't sell it for as much as a car that wasn't in a wreck. Him. But now I can't sell it for much because of you guys. I'm going to report you to the State Division of Insurance. Me. For what exactly? Him. Because you didn't pay us for our car. Me. We weren't liable for the accident. Even your carrier agrees with that. Him. But you inspected our car. Me. Because your ex-wife asked us to. Him. And reported it to the database. Me. Because we are obligated to do so per state regulations. So let me get this straight. You want to go to the state and complain that we did not pay for this claim because we were not liable and that we did what we are obligated to do and reported the vehicle's condition to the database system after we inspected the car per your ex-wife, who opened up the claim requested. Him. I need to speak to your manager, and I'll sue your company and your driver for what you've put us through with this claim. It's been a nightmare. I transferred him over to my boss and calmly told him he can file a claim if he likes and we'll send a lawyer to defend our driver, and explained to him what I told him. I asked my boss if this man did have the audacity to go to court and try to sue us, can I please take a personal day to go watch? I wanted to see him stand before a judge and explain, Your Honor, my ex-wife filed a claim with this insurance company and they came out and inspected her car right away. The police report and all 3 driver statements put my son at fault for the accident, but they had the nerve not to pay us after inspecting the car just because their driver's not at fault. And now I can't commit fraud by selling the car for more than what it's worth because they did what they're bound to do and reported it to the database system, so we have to admit that it was involved in a wreck. Oh, and it gets better. When I spoke to her insurance company, I was told by her adjuster, who got a laugh out of her policyholder's ex-husband's logic, that they were being dropped by them for fraud. It turns out the mom had lied and said that her son didn't live with her and didn't drive that car, but that was the only car listed. The police report showed that his address on his license was hers, and he told me and her carrier he was the primary driver for that vehicle, so she was being dropped for committing insurance fraud. And our next story. Don't cheat on a med student. When I first started med school, I had a girlfriend who was decently attractive. Not 10 for 10, but definitely a solid 7 out of 10. Unfortunately, she thought of herself as a 10 out of 10 and acted like one too. As med school wore on, I started spending more time studying and less time caring for myself. As she was a 10 out of 10 and thus had no business doing anything beneath her, I was the only person who was doing the cleaning, cooking, and paying for the apartment we shared. This took up even more of my time as I entered my internship. Sometimes I'd come back to a dirty apartment that I'd have to clean up after a long shift, and I only had less time to take care of myself as a result, so my appearance suffered. I got fatter, and some days I'd have to rush out the door without shaving because I'd only gotten 2 hours of sleep after cleaning and cooking. She'd never help, and she was verbally, and sometimes physically, abusive. I stayed with her because I was deeply in love with her. About a half a year into my internship, I found out my girlfriend was cheating on me with some art student she said was there for her and made her feel special and needed. I told her to get out of my apartment, and she was all too happy to do so. Fast forward a few years, and she's in a master's program in Europe and starts talking to me again. I'm on the cusp of finishing my residency and about to start earning the big bucks people think doctors earn. She asked me for another chance. I was tempted to go for it until she started verbally abusing me again over our FaceTime/Skype sessions. I hatched a plot. I told her she'd have to quit her master's program and come to the States within 3 months. She was graduating in 6. She was reticent to do so, but I told her if she wanted me back, she needed to give me a show of good faith. I guess she figured she'd hamstring me by trapping me with marriage because she agreed. The day before she was due to fly out to the U.S., I told her I was lying. I blocked her on all my accounts and never spoke to her again. From what I understand, she's now surfing couches, getting by on begging for charity from what few friends she made in Europe, and sometimes effing some dude twice her age so he'd throw money at her. That was ice cold. Well played, sir. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.